Good morning. Um, Today we'll be learning Hanukkah Part 3, Beshem Hashem Naaseh V'Natzliach. So this shiur is dedicated for Refuah Shelema to the Chatufim, to the hostages, and for all the soldiers who were who need healing and who were wounded, and the hostages also who need refuah shlema, and to Avraham ben Chana and Zechariah Dov ben Pearl Shira, and Le'elu Nishmat, to all those who were murdered, burnt, and butchered on October 7, and for the Hatzlacha of our soldiers who face the enemy daily and put their lives in terrible danger. Thank you, Hashem, for all your nisim and your chasadim that you have done with us. And please, Hashem, continue to do so, just like you did in the time of the Maccabim or the time of Hanukkah. Please, we need you again. En lanu al mi leisha'en, ela al avinu shebashamayim. We have no one else to rely on except on Hashem. So, Hanukkah. Zera Shimshon says the following: the lighting of the menorah is a special mitzvah. In fact, Chachamim have divided this mitzvah into three. To fulfill the mitzvah in full, it has three conditions. So the first one is what we call ner ish ubeto, that one lights every night for the entire family. The family has to be together at the time when we light the menorah. So each night we add a light, but the whole entire family has to be there. It has to be present. Number two, mehadarin. Everyone lights a light, a candle, for 8 days. So the Ashkenazim, they each one have their own menorah. So like if you go by a house on the night of Hanukkah, let's say on the third or fourth night, or even the first night, you're going to see more than just one menorah. By us, as Faradim, we really light only one. However, as as we go on, um, so like on the second night, the third night, the fourth night, the father lights, but then he also gives to the wife and to the children to light one light. And the third condition is mehadrin min hamehadrin, which means it has to be done the best way. Mehudar, hadar, it means to make it beautiful. It means it has to be the best way. And here Chachamim argued about how to go about it. What's the best way? So we have two different opinions, the one of Bet Shammai and the one of Bet Hillel. According to Bet Shammai, we should light on the first night 8 lights, the second night 7 lights, third night 6 lights, and just take away one light each night until the last night. Then we'll be left with only one candle to light. This is what we call pohet veholech. However, Bet Hillel said no. According to the opinion of Bet Hillel, is that on the first night we do the exact opposite. On first night we light only one, second night we light two, third night we light three, and so on. That's what we do. And this is what we call mosif veholech, that each one we add one more light. So Zera Shimshon asks the question: why is it that the mitzvah of lighting menorah is divided into three conditions? You have to have the three conditions to perform the mitzvah. And how do we understand the opinion of Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel? So we're going to answer each question as we go along. So the first answer is that there is a connection between Hanukkah and the Mishkan. The Mishkan was it was instead of the Bet Hamikdash. The difference between the Mishkan and the Bet Hamikdash was that the Mishkan was built in a way that they could put it apart, take it apart, and put it together as they were traveling in the desert. So there is a connection, according to the Rambam, between Hanukkah and the Mishkan. What's the connection? At the time of the Chanukat HaMizbeach of the Mishkan, it means at the time when they had finished building the Mishkan, and it, when they were for the inauguration, they were just about to use it for the first time. It's called the Chanukat HaMizbeach. The Nesi'im, who are the princes, or you say the leaders of each shevet, each one of them, of each tribe, each one of them brought a korbanot. They brought sacrifices as an offering in honor of the Mishkan to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Aharon was not allowed to bring a korban, and Aharon he was hurt, being Aharon Kohen Gadol, being the holy person that he was hurt. Why can't I contribute? Why is it that I cannot contribute to this mitzvah? Everyone is bringing gifts. Everyone is bringing korbanot. Everyone is bringing something for the Mishkan. I cannot bring anything. So Aaron thought, oh, maybe Hashem is upset with me. He's still upset with me because of the egel as I have, because of the golden calf. Why can't I bring a a um, a korban? However, Rashi explains that Hashem said to Aaron, "Your mitzvah is greater than the mitzvah of the Nesi'im, than the mitzvah of the leaders." How is that? The leaders are bringing the korbanot only this one time. Now, maybe some other time also. But you, Aaron, you are going to be lighting the menorah in the Mishkan every single night. So your mitzvah is not just once; it's going to be your entire lifetime. So your mitzvah is greater. And the Rambam still asks a question. So why did Hashem choose this mitzvah of the menorah? There are many other jobs that the avodot that the Kohen Gadol used to do in the Mishkan, right? Like the avodah of Yom Kippur, the avodah of the Ketoret, the incense that was done also. So how come Hashem picked only on the mitzvah of the menorah? So the Rambam answers, and he says like this. And he brings the answer from Rabbeinu Nisim Gaon, that Hashem, in fact, he was telling Aharon about the menorah, but not just only about the menorah. But Hashem was telling Aharon, your descendants, the Hashmonaim, will also light the menorah. They will save Ben Israel from the Yevanim. But not only this, even after the Bet HaMikdash is going to be destroyed, we Jews will light the menorah in our homes, and that would be like a continuation of what Aharon had started. Aaron started only lighting the menorah in the Mishkan, but we still do it today in our homes, and that calmed down Aharon. Now, we still are left with the answer, why are there three conditions to perform this mitzvah? So, One answer is that Hashem actually, when Hashem spoke about the menorah, he spoke three times about the menorah. Twice to Moshe when he instructed him about how to make the menorah, because it was complicated, had many details. It, it was not, and had to be done from only one piece of gold. It was very hard to make. So twice Hashem told Moshe to make it, and then the third time it was told to Aaron. יערוך אותו אהרון ובניו מערב עד בוקר, that Aaron would like late. Sorry, this was said to Moshe that Aaron and his children will light, his descendants will light the menorah in the evening, and it's supposed to stay on the entire night. It means they have to put enough oil in the cups so that it stays on the entire night. And then to Aaron, Hashem said, בהעלותך את הנרות אל מול פני המנורה יאירו שבעת הנרות. That when Aaron will light the menorah, actually the middle piece was called itself. That itself was called the menorah. Then it had three pieces, three branches, right? Three branches on each side, right? And they had a middle piece. So those three branches, the wicks were supposed to be put not in the middle, but onto the side, so that they would be sort of like facing the middle branch. So the question is, why did Hashem had to teach us and tell us about the menorah three times? The Gemara says like this. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashia Omer, he says, Hashem wanted to give us many mitzvot for us to perform throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout our entire lives. Why? To give us a greater reward for every small mitzvah we do. And this is not to be taken lightly. We learn actually the same about Abraham. When Hashem told Abraham, Lech lecha me'artzecha u'melatecha el haaretz asher ar'eka, go, he didn't tell him just go, leave. And didn't tell him where he's going. Hashem was very specific. Leave your town, leave your land, leave the place where you were born, leave your family, go to a place I will tell you. Abraham was not told where to go. That's very hard. When you tell someone just go, but where am I going? Just go. But where am I going? Yet why Rashi there explains that this is to actually for Abraham to get a bigger reward for really following Hashem blindly. So now we come back to the question, what's behind the dispute of or the difference of opinion between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. So Zera Shimshon says, and he gives us an explanation. And however, to understand it, we need to actually look into the Shulchan Aruch and the Bet Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo. He's the one who wrote the Shulchan Aruch, and it's a book that teaches us what to do or what not to do from the moment we open our eyes until the time we go to bed. And it doesn't matter what you are, if you're learning Torah, if you're a businessman or you're a doctor or whatever it is, whatever your occupation is, all the halachot, all the laws are in the Shulchan Aruch. So the Shulchan Aruch, so the Bet Yosef asks the question, why do we celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days? So we have got to answer this question before we can understand the question, the difference between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. So the Bet Yosef says because according to the, so he gives us two different opinions. So he says the two explanations, sorry. So he says the first one is that according to the Gemara, the Hashmonaim, the Kohanim, they had found a pach shemen katan. They had found a small jug of kosher oil, of olive oil, that would be for the menorah, but there would be enough only for one day. The miracle of the oil happened for 7 days. So why do we have to light for 8 days if the miracle lasted only 7 days? And so there are many answers to that. And we're going to learn the two answers that Rabbi Yosef Karo, the Bet Yosef, teaches us. The first one is on the first night, there was also a miracle. What? What is it? The Hashmonaim knew they did not have enough oil for the next 7 days. They knew that from the beginning, as it takes 7 days to press the olives and to extract the oil from the olives. So the Hashmonaim did not want to rely on a miracle. And somchim ala nes. You don't do things relying on, okay, a miracle is going to happen. We don't, that's not how we do things. So what did they do? They divided the jug of oil into 8 days. So it means that the first night there was just really so little oil, right? And that little oil would last only a few minutes. It wouldn't last all that long. But they decided that was better than nothing. At least the menorah would be lit. However, to their surprise, the oil lit for the entire night. So we see here there was a nes from the first night already. So that's why we celebrate 8 days, not just 7 days. And the second explanation that the Bet Yosef gives us, that the entire oil was poured into the cups of the menorah. One night, right? The first night, they just poured oil into all the cups, and that's it. There was no more left, right? And they really did not expect the to come back and find more oil in the menorah. That's it. There's no more. But to their surprise, there was a lot of oil left in the menorah, in the cups. In fact, there was so much that each day that they lit, the oil went down, right? The level of how much there was, it went down, but there was still enough for the next day and the next day and the next day until they and for 8 days. And so that's why Bet Shammai says, let's start by lighting 8 lights of Hanukkah the first night. Second night, 7 lights, because the miracle happened that each night there was less and less, according to the second opinion that the second explanation that the Bet Yosef gave us. And this is what we call pohet veholech. Like each night you take one off, one less candle. And just like the Hashmonaim had done, right? That they had poured all at once in the cups of the menorah, and each one, the level went down, but yet, because of the miracle, it actually, the menorah was lit the entire night. Bet Hillel says different. Bet Hillel says we add each night Why? Because they are in the opinion, according to the first explanation of the Bet Yosef Karo, saying what? That they had put each night a little bit, and that little bit, instead of just lasting for a few minutes, actually lasted for the entire night. So the Zera Shimshon, now the Zera Shimshon gives a second explanation to why we need three conditions to fulfill the mitzvah of the menorah. And he says like this: when the Hashmonaim cleaned up the Bet Hamikdash, they found a big mess. Things were broken, was dirty, and they really had a big job. They cleaned up, they fixed. They really had a big job to do. And when they wanted to lead the menorah that was made of gold, it wasn't there. No menorah. They looked everywhere, they couldn't find it. So they had to make one of wood quickly, just not to miss uh, the the mitzvah. And then the Gemara tells us that later on, when they were able to actually made one of silver, and then much later on they were able to make one of gold. So here the Gemara brings actually um, two stories that reminds us about the Jewish spark. Because what is the story of Hanukkah? The story of Hanukkah is really about the Jewish spark. That no matter how far away a Jew may be, he still has a spark. He has something inside him that is going to bring him back to Hashem. And that's really the whole message of Hanukkah. Fighting, fighting the Yetzer Hara, fighting those who want us to be like others. We have our Torah and we're supposed to follow what it says, what it teaches us, to follow our Chachamim. And so I would like to end this shiur with these two stories, which are connected to Hanukkah. There was a man by the name of Yakum Ish Tzerorot. He was from the place called Tzerorot. And he had decided to go along with the Yevanim, to follow the Yevanim, live the life of the Yevanim. Forget about Shabbat, forget about Tefillah, Tefillin, anything. It's just it. He just became like the Yevanim. Mityaven means as if he had converted. Obviously, a Jew cannot convert, but this is what had happened. He was, however, the nephew of a big tzaddik by the name of Yosef ben Yoezer. Yosef ben Yoezer was the president, the Nasi of Am Yisrael, of the Jews at the time, and he was a very big tzaddik, very special person. The Yevanim had caught him learning Torah, and they decided that they were going to kill him, but not just kill him, they were going to kill him on Shabbat to make of him an example, to put fear in the hearts of the Jews. Why? Because he was breaking their rules. One of their rules was not to learn Torah, not to keep Shabbat, not to keep Rosh Chodesh, and many other rules. But he broke those rules. So they decided they were going to kill him on Shabbat, and everyone would see, and the fear would go into the heart of Bnei Israel, of the Jews at the time, to make it harder for them to break the laws. On the way, as they were bringing him to get killed, Yosef, no, sorry, Yakum Ish Tzerorot, the nephew of Yosef ben Yoezer, came to him and said to him, look at you, look at your horse and look at my horse. Meaning, look where your emunah, your way of life has taken you. Now you're going to be killed. And look at me, I'm rich. I have so much to look forward. I have a good life. But what have you got? You have nothing. Not only you have nothing, but they're also going to kill you. And Yosef ben Yoezer answered very calmly, and he says, if Hashem is giving all those riches to those who anger him, can you imagine how much more Hashem has in store for those who follow him? But Yakum said, is there someone else in the world that has followed Hashem faithfully, and have done kept the mitzvot the way you did? And yet, look at you. You're about to get killed. And Yosef ben Yozer again answered, if Hashem is being strict, מדקדק כחוט השערה, is being strict with those who follow him, and Hashem is giving a punishment to us, to those who follow him, for whatever small sins we may have done. Can you imagine? Sorry. And he does it to purify us. That this punishment is going to serve as to purify us, so we can go straight to Gan Eden. But can you imagine the punishments Hashem has in store for those who rebel against him? Those words that came out of a pure heart were taken to heart by Yakum. The nitzot, the spark, was lit in his heart, in the heart of Yakum. He decided to do teshuvah, and he prepared his own death by giving himself the foredeath of the Bedin. A Bedin, a Jewish court, the time of the Bet HaMikdash, was able to give out 4 different types of death, depending on whatever sin the person did. So the first one was sekila, stoning. Second one was serefa, fire. Third one was hereg, killing. And the fourth one was chenek, hanging. So I won't go into the details. However, the Gemara gives us all the details of how Yakum, he did teshuvah, and we're talking about within moments, within minutes, it didn't take him long. And he performed on himself the 4 death of the Bet Din, to the point that his neshama left his body, and Yosef ben Yoezer saw his neshama go up to Shamayim, and he said, my nephew went ahead of me. He's already in Gan Eden. That is the nitzot. That's the spark of a Jew, no matter how far away a Jew may be. And the second story that the Gemara teaches us is about Yosef Meshita, who also lived under the rule of the Yevanim and had taken the life of the Yevanim. He lived like them. Antiochus had wanted to get the gold of the Bet HaMikdash, but he was afraid. He knew of the story of Purim, he knew of the story of Nebuchadnezzar, he knew of all that had happened to those who tried to go inside and take anything away from the Bet HaMikdash. So he knew there was a lot of gold inside the Bet HaMikdash, and he wanted to get that gold. So he decided to take one of those Jews who lived like a Yevani, who lived like a Greek, who did not follow the mitzvot. And so they asked for a volunteer. And there was a volunteer. His name was Yosef Meshita. So what did Yosef Mishita said? Okay, I'll go inside. And they told him, whatever gold you come out first, that's going to be yours. All right, that was like the the agreement. He said, okay. He went in, but when he went in, he felt the holiness, the kedusha of the Bet Hamikdash, and he saw it in his heart. A spark was lit. Wow, what a holy place! Because he went through the courtyard and he went inside where the menorah was, and all the other kelim. And he looked around. Everything looked so beautiful and so pure. There was an aura of kedusha inside. And he said, "Wow, look at this." And he looked at the menorah. He said, "Wow, I want to take this for myself." So he came out taking the menorah. The menorah was very big, but he pulled it and he came out with it. The Yevanim, they were stunned. The Greeks were stunned to see something so beautiful. They said, whoa. And he said, this is what I want for myself. They said, no, 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 no. You cannot take this. This is something that has to be put into a palace, not to be in home in the house of an ordinary person like you. No way. This is going. With this, we're going to take it and give it to the king to put in his palace because it's very, very special. And I said to him, so go back inside, go inside and get something else. And he said, no, I'm not going back inside. So at first, I thought, oh, because they had said, they had refused to let him keep the menorah. So I said to him, okay, you know what? Go inside, get more gold, you'll keep it, and you won't have to pay taxes for 3 years. Look how much money you're going to get. But he said, no, I'm not going inside, he said. I already made my God, I made Hashem angry by going in the first time. You want me to make Hashem angry a second time? No, I'm not going back inside. Oh, were they upset with him? Because they realized that now he was like going back on his lifetime. He was actually doing teshuvah. So they said, this is what you're doing? And they decided to torture him. And they tortured him. And they tortured him. Terrible tortures. And with every pain, he cried out, Oi, oi, al shechasti et boi. Oi, oi, I made Hashem angry with all my sins. And that's how he cried out every time with every pain that he felt until he died. So, in these days, the days of Nisim, days of that each one of us can get our own Yeshua, our own salvation. May Hashem protect us and protect and guide the soldiers and bless them and bless us to always have that spark to bring ourselves closer to Hashem.